Muy buenas tardes a todas las personas que se van uniendo a este webinar con the University of Western Australia. Me presento, mi nombre es Luisa Ayala, tendré el gusto de acompañarlos en esta sesión junto con Ruth Cas- Castrati. I'm not sure if it is correct. Yes.
Correct, yes.
Ruth Castrati, la representante, perdón, de la universidad, que nos estará hablando sobre el proceso de admisión, sobre programas en la universidad, diferentes fuentes de financiación y toda esta información relevante para poder hacer un posgrado en la Universidad de Western Australia. Recuerden que tenemos un convenio que les da el 25% para los beneficiarios de Colfuturo. Tengan en cuenta que para recibir este beneficio tienen que aplicar a Colfuturo con la universidad, ser admitidos y ser seleccionados en Colfuturo para poder recibirlo. Y bueno, without more, I will, the floor is yours, Ruth. Thank you.
Louisa, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. As Louisa said, my name is Ruth Castrati. I'm the International Relationships Manager for the University of Western Australia. This presentation will be in English, so I hope everyone can understand everything I'm talking about, but I will also provide my contact details at the end. So if you do have any questions or you prefer to write me a question by email, then you can do that as well. I'm sorry, my Spanish is not good. So I'm at the University of Western Australia in Perth, Western Australia. It's just past 7 a.m. here, so just so you know the time difference. And I'm going to tell you a bit about studying in Australia and more specifically about our university. But what I like to start with is a little bit about the quality of education in Australia, because I think Australia sometimes isn't as recognised as the US or the UK or even Canada when it comes to the quality of the education. So I think this slide is really good in showing future students who want a really good quality of education just how highly ranked our institutions are. So where you can see the little Australian flag on the left-hand side, this is all Australian universities, and this is representative of the top 200 universities last year or this year, according to the QS World Rankings. We have 43 universities in Australia, and 12 of them are in the world top 200. So UWA, which you can see just here on the left, if you can see my mouse, is number 77, okay? So 28% of our universities are actually in the top 200, which is a huge amount. That's more than a quarter of our universities. So I think that really shows the quality. In Australia, we also have something called the Group of Eight. Now, the Group of Eight is similar to the Ivy League in the USA or the Russell Group in the UK, and it's the top research-intensive, most prestigious, most well-ranked universities. And our university is very proud to be part of the Group of Eight as well. But today's session, we're going to talk about what it's like to live in Perth, because I think for many, it is really far away and it is very different, and you may definitely be more familiar with studying in the USA, for example, or even on the eastern side of Australia, but perhaps Perth is somewhere you haven't thought of before. And I'll then talk about the university and our courses and admissions and what we do to help students secure really good employability prospects and to support students throughout the time in their degree. I'll then touch on scholarships and fees and accommodation and leave room for some questions at the end. So this picture is a picture of our university, and it's quite representative of what we're like. So very old, beautiful sandstone buildings with stained glass windows, and very manicured, lovely green gardens. So the campus itself is extremely beautiful, and it's definitely a place that you'll enjoy studying at. In fact, we often have tourists come to the university to have a look around, to take a tour, to take photographs. And we have a lot of people who actually get married at the university because it's such a beautiful venue for their photographs. Now, we do call Perth the city of opportunity, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We are the 4th largest city in Australia. So we currently have 2.4 million people, but we are the fastest growing city. And if you look at the map of Australia, the whole area which is shaded in blue is Western Australia. So we are the largest state. You can see the, how big we are compared to Sydney and Melbourne and Queensland states. And you can see our proximity to the rest of our key partners and business partners in Asia. So although we are far from Latin America and from Colombia, we're very well situated in terms of the rest of the world. So we are the closest capital city of the Australian cities to Europe, to India, to China, to the Middle East, and to Africa. And we have direct flights to all of these places. So example, for Europe, we've got direct flights from Perth to London, to Paris, and to Rome. So we're very well connected. And we share a time zone with 60% of the world's population, plus or minus 2.5 hours. So that means that if you're studying in Perth and you're doing business or you're working on projects or you're taking internships and you're working with some of our key partners in India or China or Vietnam, Malaysia, you're going to be able to be in touch and working on very similar time zones. Perth has the lowest unemployment rate of any of the capital cities. So it currently sits at 3.4%. And interestingly, 46% of the exports from Australia come from our state. So we've got a huge mining and resource sector. And this goes a long way to provide the economy that we have, to provide a really good lifestyle, a very high standard of living. We have a lot of commodities and natural resources. So we're the largest producer of iron ore and lithium, and the 3rd largest producer of gold and natural gas. We're also home to the headquarters of 30% of the Australian Stock Exchange listed companies. So you can see this beautiful picture of Perth City here, surrounded by water. So we've got a massive river that runs through our city, and a lot of the big headquarters are here in the city centre. We're also home to 6 of the world's top 10 energy companies. And another great option is that we do offer 1 year longer than Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane graduated students to stay and work in Australia. So if you study in Perth, because we're considered a regional city, you do have that visa advantage as well. If you're coming with your family and you've got school-aged children, then you actually can access free education for your children as well. So there's no limit to the children, and the education system here is very, very good. My daughter, she's in the education system, the public one. So that's a big advantage, and we're the only state that offers that. We're also one of the most affordable capitals. So when we compare living in the western side to the eastern side, it's quite often cheaper for a lot of things and for day-to-day living. And as well as it being more affordable, the salaries that we offer are about 8.9% above the national average. So that's salaries for graduates if you stay in Perth, and also salaries for part-time workers while you're studying. We also have a very enviable and lovely and lifestyle and high standard of living. So we are consistently voted in the world's most livable cities. We're the sunniest capital city in Australia. So we have more than 8 hours of sunshine per day, even through the winter months. And that means you can be outdoors, enjoying our nature, our beaches, our hiking, all of the beautiful things that are on offer. We have 19 beaches that surround the city. So you can definitely enjoy some time at beaches that are not crowded and have lovely white sand and beautiful blue water. And I think really importantly, the world we're living in today, it's a very safe, stable and secure place to live. So it really is somewhere where you're going to have a lot of freedoms, And you can be certain that you're going to live a nice lifestyle while you're studying and be very safe and not have to worry really about anything in terms of, the political stability, the economic stability. 36% of our Perth residents are born overseas, so it's hugely multicultural. 190 different nationalities in Perth itself. In terms of the climate, it's what we call a Mediterranean climate. So we do have hot summers, getting up to around 35 degrees, sometimes a little bit higher, but we do have the sea really close by, the ocean. So we get a nice breeze, and there's plenty of places to go and have a swim. In the autumn, it sits around 26 degrees Celsius during the day, and in the winter, like we're in now, gets up to about 18 degrees. So it's never really, really cold. In fact, I think in the winter it's probably warmer than Bogota, which I've spent a few winters in. And spring, my favourite season, coming up quite soon, is when all the nature is out and it gets to about 23 degrees. So like I said, really nice all year round. And because we're such a large state, the climate and the landscape really changes from the south of Western Australia, where we are in Perth, to the north. So I just wanted to share with you a few pictures. So we have some examples of the regions in the southwest of Western Australia. So you've got massive forest areas. We're very well known for organic food, wineries, olive oil, truffles. We have some beautiful beaches where you can see kangaroos on the white sand. It's very iconic. And this beach here on the right-hand side, that's just 10 minutes from the university. So that's called Cottesloe Beach. And it's also home in the south and west corner to the quokkas, which is our only found in Perth native animal. And they're super cute, and you can't come to Perth without seeing a quokka on Rottnest Island. In the north of Western Australia, the landscape changes very dramatically, and the temperature can be a difference of about 20 degrees from north to south. So very, very different, very far apart. The north is more, I would say, like traditional outback Australia. You've got a beautiful reef. It's like the Great Barrier Reef, but smaller and more unspoiled, where you can swim with whale sharks. We've got ancient national parks. It's actually some of the oldest civilization in the world originated from the north of Western Australia, and just a lot of beautiful and very different nature. So that's just to show what you can experience if you're living here and you're taking some road trips. It's also very easy to jump on a plane and go to the eastern states and visit Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane or the Gold Coast. But actually, our closest place to go from Perth is Bali in Indonesia, because that's only just over 3 hours flight, and that's where we holiday at least a few times a year. In terms of the university, we are ranked 77th in the world in the QS 2026 rankings. And we have been in the top 100 for many, many years now. So we do have obviously some great academics, great researchers, leaders in their field that are coming to Western Australia to teach and to conduct research. And that all filters down to the student experience. We're the oldest university in Western Australia, so well over 100 years old now. And we have 4,500 plus global industry partnerships, which our students benefit from in terms of internships, work, learning and projects. The industry actually will help to design our curriculum to make sure it's the most up to date. And we have guest lectures, recruitment fairs and things like that. So this really does help our students a lot. And some really high-level graduates, so including Nobel Prize winners, former Prime Ministers, former Chief of Justice for Australia as well, just to name a few. But what students consistently tell us that they really love about Perth and our campus is where we're located. So in the dotted line here, this is the UWA Perth campus. So we are 10 minutes by bus or car from the Perth Central Business District, from the city centre. So you can choose to live in the city, or you can choose to live on campus, and I'll tell you about those options a bit later. But either way, it's very convenient, and actually a lot of students will take an e-scooter or they'll have a bicycle, and they'll actually ride from the city centre into the campus, which takes about 15 minutes. And it's a really beautiful way to start the day because you ride right along the river, and you can explore the bird life, the pelicans, the swans. You can sometimes see dolphins in the water. It's really lovely. And between the Perth city and the campus is a beautiful big park called Kings Park. So larger than Central Park in the USA, in New York. It's really lovely. And we also have the on-campus accommodation just across the road. So if you live there, you can walk to your classes. And anywhere on the campus, you can also walk down to the river between classes, which is really nice and relaxing. And we're only 10 minutes drive to the local beach, and about 20 minutes to the airport. So it's very, very convenient. The water that you can see here, it's actually not the ocean. This is the river that goes through the city. So we have the river on one side and the ocean on the other side. We have 9 different study areas. So we are what we call a comprehensive university. Everything from architecture through to business, data and computing, engineering, health, humanities, law, music, natural and physical sciences, and psychology. So we do cover most of what people are looking for in one way or another, but there are some subjects where we're particularly well ranked. So these 13 subject areas that I've listed here are where we're ranked in the world's top 50 according to the QS 2025 and the GRAS 2024 rankings. So I think for Colombian students, some of these areas are of interest. So definitely things like mineral and mining engineering, geology, agriculture perhaps, biological sciences, environmental science, marine engineering, water resources. A lot of these areas are quite compatible with the sorts of courses that Culfuturo students are wanting to study. And that means that there's a very high chance if you're applying for one of these top ranked courses that your application is going to be considered, because obviously Culfuturo is looking at how the courses at each university are ranked. In terms of the rankings in Western Australia, we definitely do well. We're by far the most highly ranked university. I think the next ranked university is in the 400s. And like I said, we're 77. So we're first in Western Australia for all of these areas listed. I won't go through them all, but you can have a look there. So if you are thinking of coming to Western Australia for any of these areas, we will be the best ranked for these as well. When we're looking at admission into our postgraduate courses, there are a few things that we take into account. So the first one is your academic background. So we look at your previous bachelor's degree and we look at what your GPA is. So the courses on offer have different GPA requirements depending on the course. Things like engineering, for example, have some of the higher GPAs. Things like business may be a little bit lower. So if we're looking at something, for example, such as engineering, we'd be looking for a UWA mark of 65, which is equivalent to a GPA on the Colombian scale of 3.67. Just an example of what the sorts of areas we're looking for. However, obviously, we want you to be doing as well as possible, and the higher your GPA, the higher that you've got for entry and for scholarship funding as well. When it comes to English, we do look at having a level which is around 6.5 in terms of the IELTS scale, with no section less than 6. But IELTS is not the only test we accept. So we actually accept as well the TOEFL test, the Pearson test, and most recently, we've just started accepting the Duolingo remote English test. And this one is really convenient. Firstly, it's quite a lot cheaper than the others, but also you can do it at your convenience. So you don't need to go to a testing centre. In fact, if you're already a working professional, and I've spoken to some that are on mine sites, for example, and can't get to a testing centre for another test, you can take Duolingo. As long as you've got your laptop and you've got a camera, then you can actually do that online from wherever you are. Some courses do require higher English, but the standard is that IELTS 6.5 or equivalent level. For some courses, you need to have a bachelor's degree in a similar area, but for some courses, it's also conversion, which means you can come from any other background and still study with us. So a few examples of that is if you're wanting to do a business course, some of those you can come from any other background if you want to transfer into business. And things like architecture, social work as well, and law, we can accept you from different backgrounds. If you're looking at doing research, such as a PhD or a Master's by Philosophy, we also require extensive research experience for that. Just going back to English, if you don't meet the requirements straight away, we can offer you a academic bridging course, which is a packaged offer. And that's where you can take either 10 or 20 weeks of English, and that will get you up to the correct level needed to start your postgraduate course. And we do have a separate agreement between Colfuturo and our English department, which does offer a 10% discount on English language. So absolutely have a look at that if you do need the extra English. Once you start the bridging course, you don't need to take a further English test. As long as you complete the course, then you'll go straight into the master's degree. The good thing about this is it's run and taught completely by UWA staff. So we don't outsource the English language teaching. So the teaching is excellent quality. And this campus is about 10 minutes from our main campus, so you'll be very close by as well. What I'm going to do now is just go through a few key areas that we offer. I'm not going to go through every area because we just simply won't have time, but I'm just going to touch on some that I think are most sought after for Colfuturo for Colombian students. So the first one is business. Sorry, just going back to this slide. This is our business school. It's right on the river, so you can actually get views of the river from some of the classrooms. It's our second newest building. So right down the far end of campus, you'll be studying here. It's the #1 business school in Western Australia, according to last year's BOSS rankings. And we have some really great facilities, such as the Rosemary Nathanson Financial Trading Room. So the Financial Trading Room is used by professionals in finance from all around the region. So we often have finance professionals come and utilize this. So you can use real world data from over 400 sources and really get that immersive experience. So it's quite an amazing facility. And we also have a lot of industry and corporate sponsors. And 5,000 students from over 62 countries in the business school. So it's a very multicultural school. We're fully accredited by EQUIS, by AACSB, and part of the PRIME Principles for Responsible Management Education. So we have full accreditations, and your degree will be recognised wherever you end up taking that to work. These are just a few examples of the postgraduate courses that we offer for the business school. So some that are of interest to our Colombian students that I've come across, I'll just go through. So for example, the Master of Applied Finance, which is a 1.5 to 2 year course, starts in both February and July. And it's designed for graduates that are working in the finance sector or those with a non-finance background. So it would be a 2 years if you have a non-finance background, but you can be a shorter duration if you have already had experience in finance. A lot of hands-on experience during special units such as the Student Managed Enterprise Investment Fund. So this is where you get those real-life work skills. Okay. We also have a few options for the MBA, the Master of Business Administration. This is a very high-level course aimed at those who are quite progressed in their career already, but they're looking to expand their leadership skills. And you can also take certain specializations. So you do need to have some professional experience for the MBA, and it does have a higher English language requirement. And the flexible option allows for weeknight and weekend classes as well as some online classes. So it's very flexible around professionals. And if you're an international student coming here and you've got a part-time job, this can work really well as well. You can do specializations in things like oil and gas and social impact as well. And then we have the regular MBA. So it's like a little bit less flexible in terms of the structure of the classes, but it does allow you to take a strategic analysis and consulting project with one of our partners, such as Woodside or BHP or Rio Tinto. So this is another great option as well. It does require 3 years work experience. So that's one of the other differences. The Master of Business Analytics is one of the fastest growing fields, I think all over the globe, not just in Australia. And it does include a business analytics industry project, which is a project-based unit where you can develop your cognitive skills around the interpretation of data analytics. So this is a really good one if you're looking at a career in business analyst, business intelligence, data, etc. And the final one I'll talk about in the business school is the Master of Commerce, because this is one of the what we call conversion courses. So this is particularly suited for graduates with a non-business degree that are looking to get some experience in business, and they can specialise in things like accounting or finance or economics or anything we've listed here. And so this is a really good way to transition your existing skills into the business field. This is just a photo of our city centre. Remember that this is just 10 minutes from the university, showing our active industry sponsors. So I just really love this photograph of the Perth city. But this is some places that you might go and do work experience, or you might go and do networking opportunities. So big names like Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, different banks, IBM, etc. Okay, moving on to engineering. This photograph is our E-Zone. So it's our purpose-built engineering facility. It's really quite amazing. We are a leading engineering school, so we do push the limits of the engineering research, and you'll be taught by world-leading professionals in their field, and we have very strong industry connections. So a few of our rankings, you can see particularly for marine, for environmental, for mining, we are excellent rankings. And civil engineering is also very highly ranked for us as well. And these are our accreditations within the engineering school. So Engineers Australia, Institution of Chemical Engineers, etc. And some of our industry collaboration and supporters. So this is, for example, some of the support to build the E-Zone, which is the facility you'll be studying in, was due to Rio Tinto, which was one of our main sponsors here. The Master of Professional Engineering is our most popular course for Colombian students. And you can take one of 9 different specializations within the Master of Professional Engineering. So you can look at electric and electronic, chemical, civil, biomedical, environmental, mechanical, mining, or software. It's a 1.5 to 2 year full-time course in February and July start dates. And it does include, built into the course, a design project, a research project, and a paid up to 12-week paid work placement. So it does really give you that experience and set you up to go right into a job at the end of it. We also have a Master of Renewable and Future Energy, which is specifically for students that have already got their engineering qualification and they're looking to specialise in renewables, covering microgrid and smart grid technology, and chemical renewables and storage as well. So this is definitely one to watch. And then we'll look at data and computer science. I'll just go through this a little bit quicker because I'm conscious of the time. But some of the courses that you may want to look at are the Master of IT within our computing school. You can specialise here in applied computing, AI, or software systems. Okay, so we're looking at contemporary and emerging technologies, including cloud and high-performance computing, agile web development, and software project design and management. And then we have the Master of Data Science. This is a really big field for us because of our location in Western Australia with all the mining companies that are in the city. A lot of them are crying out for data scientists to come and help them with their big data. So this produces very good results for our students. And there's options of internships, and there's a real-world data science project included in this course as well. Moving on to our natural and physical sciences. So this is by far where we have the best rankings and what we're very well known for at UWA. Okay, so we have really inspirational teachers and researchers and academics. Everything is super hands-on, so you'll go on lots of field trips, you'll be using the really high precision tools and instruments, you'll take work placements, and natural and physical sciences includes agriculture and the environment, biology, chemistry, earth, oceans, physics and maths. We are the top 50 in the world for geology, agricultural, biological, environmental science and engineering, and oceanography. With some fantastic facilities as well. Some of the postgraduate courses, this is not all of them, but this slide just shows the courses that we have and the specializations that you can do. So for example, if you're doing a Master of Agricultural Science, you can specialize in one of the 4 areas of agricultural technology, crop and livestock farming, genetics and breeding, or soil science. So each course has its own specialization sets. So you can have a look at those. So biotechnology, environmental science, biological science, bioinformatics, that's a really growing area. Marine biology, fantastic place to study marine. We are a world biodiversity hotspot. And geoscience and hydrogeology, if you're in that mining and field, this might be of interest to you as well. The last area that I'm going to talk about very briefly is our humanities and social sciences area, because we are seeing some increasing interest in this. It's very practical again, lots of internships and work experiences, and courses such as public policy, international development, international relations, etc. Research at UWA can be undertaken, absolutely. We're huge for research, one of the best research universities in Australia. And we do have some scholarships available for research students. You can package this with English, but you must secure your supervisor before you put an application in. So if you've got questions about that or the process, I can help you with that, but it is a bit of a different process than applying for a regular course. Employability in the industry, we obviously take very seriously because we are very invested in making sure our students get the best job outcomes. We do have a dedicated career centre to help students develop their employability skills. And that covers everything from different workshops, CV writing, interview skills, LinkedIn profile building. We also have a career mentor link. So that's where we will match a professional with a student in their area of interest. And they will work with that mentor for at least 6 months, and they will be introduced to colleagues and networks and taken to events and just being given career advice. So this is very unique for UWA, and we see really great results through this program. And in a city like Perth, where it's a little bit smaller, it really is about who you know. So this can be a great way to build network. Some of the events we have year-round are things like career fairs, where we get employers on the campus to be introduced to students. We have industry pop-ups. So you can see this one here. We've got different energy companies talking to students, so specifically tailored to different areas. And we have job fairs, get part-time jobs as well, because that's really important to make sure you've got some income coming in if you want to have a nice lifestyle. In terms of student support, very invested in this as well, making sure students have everything they need to succeed and to thrive. So university access programs, if there's any kind of learning limitation or disability or special provision that you need. We have wellbeing officers, we have doctors and psychology appointments. We have all of this huge side of student support, too much to go into right now, but this is all there, and we can help you to reach out to any part of it that you need to. We have a few options for your accommodation. So living on campus, which is just across the road from the university, it's very convenient. You can absolutely live here as a postgraduate student, and some of the colleges have postgrad student wings, so it's a little bit quieter, and you've got your own space. So the good thing about this is it's all inclusive. So there's 5 colleges, they're all in a row, accommodation colleges. They're all a bit different, so you can have a look and see which ones you really like the look of. But they include your bills, your Wi-Fi, all of your meals for one set price. So you really don't have to worry about anything else. You've got everything you need. Just to give you some idea of the pricing in Australian dollars, it ranges per week from $465 up to $677 per week with your meals included, and all of your bills. So you have to sort of work out whether this is better value than living, somewhere like in the city centre when you've got to cook your own food, you might have to pay your own bills. But you can absolutely live outside of the campus. So our other options are Crawley Village, which is 250 houses and apartments for postgraduate students and their families. So this is all around the campus, so you can still walk, but it's in a more residential area. We've got purpose-built accommodation in the city. We can help with private rentals as well. So just a few of your options, and we can help you decide which is best for you. I know students who are tuning into this webinar will be applying for Kolfuturo funding. So if you're lucky enough to get that funding, that's fantastic. But I'll talk a bit about the course fees and scholarships as well, just in case that's something that you end up doing. So for postgraduate courses, you'd be looking between 35,000 to 52,000 Australian dollars per year. This is for not for MBA medicine and dentistry, because they're actually higher, but this is for most of the other courses that we've talked about. So the postgrads in business or data or engineering or the sciences. For research, 38 to about 57,000 Australian dollars per year. So just to give you a brief idea, but obviously look at the website and have a look at what the individual course cost is. For English language, $6,000 or $12,000, depending on whether it's a 10 or 20 week course. But like I said, for Kolfuturo students, there is a 10% discount for that. In terms of scholarships, you may want to have a backup plan if you don't secure your Kolfuturo funding. So we do have global excellence scholarships where we look at your final GPA from your Colombian degree, and we equate that to an amount of money that we can reduce your tuition fees per year. So for example, if you get a 3.67 GPA in Colombia, that would be $6,000 per year discount from your fees. If you got a 4.34 GPA, that would be $10,000 per year discounted from your fees. And the top band is if you get a 5, it's $12,000 per year. So just bearing in mind that it is a per year amount, so you will get this amount every year that you're studying. So it's important to compare scholarships if you're looking at them with other universities to decide if it's a amount per year or if it's just a one-off payment. So there's no separate application for this necessary. We will automatically tell you what you're eligible for once we have your university results. We also have an international student award, which is the minimum a student from Latin America will get as a discount, and that's $5,000 a year fee reduction. So that's definite for anyone, but the more higher grades you've got, the more chance you've got of getting the Global Excellence Scholarships, which is the higher amounts. Just touching on the sponsor agreements we've got, and I've just highlighted with what we've got with Kolfuturo, which is a 25% fee discount. It doesn't mean much to you, obviously, as a student coming through Kolfuturo, because I believe that it's a fully funded scholarship scheme. However, if Kolfuturo is looking at their partners and who offers a discount, that might play into making your application stronger. So just important to know that we do have a signed agreement with Kolfuturo, hence why we're doing the session today. So just to bear in mind that, that we've been working for quite a while now with Kolfuturo. I'm pretty sure I'm out of time, so I'm just going to end it here with my contact details. So that's my email address and my WhatsApp number. If you want to ask me any questions, please feel free to. I hope I covered everything that you wanted to know, and that you could understand me okay. But as I said, happy to take questions. If you feel better to write them in Spanish, I can translate and respond back to you.
Thank you, Ruth, for sharing all this information with our students and for so comprehensive information about not only the programs, but also all the advantages of going to Australia. So we have one question in the chat. And before going to the question, I would like to mention that Colfuturo, in fact, has an agreement with the university where if the student is selected by Colfuturo and is funded by Colfuturo, you will have a reduction of the 25% of the cost of the tuition fees. Remember that Colfuturo is a loan scholarship, so you will need this support from the university to maximize the resources that you are going to get from us. Something else that I would like to mention is that up to now we have selected 71 Colombian students who have done their masters and programs, PhD programs at the university as well. And as Ruth mentioned, you know that Colfuturo is focused on those programs that are very strong, that are very well recognized. Most of the students that we have support have been study programs related with environmental, agricultural sciences, basic science. So focus on those programs that you know you will have better chances to participate and be selected. So now let's go to the question. And David Rodriguez, he says that he has an offer from the university for a Master of Commerce, and he wants to change the specialization that is stated in that offer from the university. Can he do that, and how he will do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So if the course is staying the same, so it's still a Masters of Commerce, the specialization is very easy to change. And he might be best just to email me directly with his student number, and I can try and sort that out for him. But that's not a big deal. If you change the actual course, so if he wanted to change to engineering or something, we have to do a full assessment, but just changing the specialization is very easy.
Wonderful. We don't have many questions, so I will ask some questions that usually students do when we have these information sessions. And before doing that, Alejandro Cifuentes just sent one question, and he is asking, is a sport and exercise science master including Colfuturo options for Colombia? So I will respond to that one. Yes, Colfuturo is open to all fields of study. However, I will recommend you to participate in our information talks where we explain how the selection process is made. So those talks are done every Friday, the first Friday of each month at 8 a.m. and the second Saturday of each month at 9:30 a.m. And the way you can get into those sessions is the same way you did to participate in this information session. So David sent us another question, and may I apply for the Excellence Scholarship and the 5,000 discount for Colombian people?
There's no application necessary. We automatically assess it, but you can't combine scholarships. So the $5,000 is the base for everyone that's coming from the Latin America region. You will get that. And the Global Excellence Scholarship is merit-based. So we look at your results, but you can't have both. You either have the Global Excellence or you have the Student Award.
Wonderful. So now I will ask the question. Usually students want to look for the programs that you are offering. Do you have like a specific website where the students can check all the masters and the PhD programs that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check on the website. Absolutely. That's the best way, because as soon as we print something will change, so it's out of date. So have a look on the website. There's a course search function. You can filter it to postgraduate, and then you can filter it to the specific area that you're looking at. So whether that's sciences or engineering or business, and have a look, and all the programs will be listed, plus the option to click in very much detail about the program and see the individual subjects that you will be taking, and what are you learning, how is it assessed, how many days of the week or hours of the week are you studying. So all of this super detailed information is on the website.
And I have a final question, and is related to the timeline. So when would you recommend a student who is looking for a master or a PhD program in Western Australia to start the process, like to look for the information and all the time they will need in order to get an admission, to get a visa and be able to travel?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll just firstly, I actually think I may have missed this in my presentation, but our academic year starts in 2 intakes. So we have the end of February and the end of July. So we want to ensure that we're lining you up to start at one of those intakes. However, your application sort of timeline will depend on whether you need English or whether you've got English and you're coming into your degree. If you're coming into studying just your master's program, so you don't need any more English language courses, then we recommend about 4 months before to get your application in. And that will allow time to make an assessment, to ensure the documents are all complete, to get the sponsor letter from Kolfuturo, and to give you your confirmation of enrolment to start your visa process. So it really is the visa process that can sometimes take a little bit of time. So we want to make sure that there's no stress, there's no rush. So 4 months before is good. If you need English language packaging, then maybe just have a think about what your level is. If it's around 6 IELTS or equivalent, you probably need 10 weeks of English. If it's 5.5, you would need around 20 weeks. So you'd need to work back from that. So your 4 months plus the amount of English that you would need. So that might maybe then like 6 to 8 months before you have your course, or if it's research, there's quite set dates to actually submit an application. So applications are opening with the scholarship round. I think they're open now until the end of August. So if you are thinking of PhD, I would recommend you to have a look about those timelines, because they're a little bit different to the regular master's courses.
So Ruth, to finish this session, do you have like any recommendation or a question that you should think that students have asked and you see that is very frequent that you would like to respond?
Yeah, it's probably not a question, but more like just to maybe a closing comment or a little bit of advice, that is really do look around at your different options, because we have had some students that have not considered coming to Perth or UWA because it's not been the first thing they've thought of. And what we offer here is maybe a little bit less known, but the quality of teaching, the lifestyle, the location, it really does tick all of the boxes. So I think the fact that you're listening to this session shows that you are, potentially interested. So I really advise you to keep that going. I've been working at the university for about 15 years, and I'm yet to meet a student that hasn't enjoyed their experience. And more often than not, I get students coming to say, oh, I was tossing up between your university and one of the universities on the eastern side because that's where my friends were going. But I'm so glad I chose UWA because they love the lifestyle, they love the opportunities, they love the atmosphere. So it's really good that you're being open-minded. And yeah, just continue. It's often what makes you stand out from the crowd if you've got something from a little bit of a more unusual place.
That is a great comment, because I can confirm that our beneficiaries who have gone to Western Australia, they return really happy, and of course they will be happy to share the experience with you. So Ruth, thank you so much for this information session,
welcome.
and thank you all participants for being here, and we hope you can join these information sessions and be able to start your program soon abroad.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.